Welcome back to Movie Synopsis. Today I will show you a thriller, sci-fi film from 2014 titled Ex Machina. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A programmer named Caleb Smith, employed at an internet company, wins a competition granting him a week-long stay at the opulent and secluded estate of his company's CEO, Nathan Bateman. Located deep in the mountains, Caleb is airlifted and then must trek through the woods to reach the estate. Upon arrival, he receives a personal key card at the security gate and explores the first floor of the house before encountering Nathan outside, engaging in exercise. Nathan, a charismatic figure, initiates small talk as they meet. As Nathan guides Caleb through the estate, Caleb discovers that it is not merely a residence, but rather a research facility. Nathan eagerly shares details about his research, but insists that Caleb first signs a non-disclosure agreement contained in the Blue Book. Initially hesitant due to the agreement's unconventional terms, Caleb eventually relents after some persuasion from Nathan. Once Caleb signs, Nathan questions him about his knowledge of the Turing test. Caleb explains that it involves determining if a human can't discern whether they are interacting with a computer, indicating successful AI. Nathan reveals to Caleb that he will be participating as the human subject in a Turing test to assess whether Ava, an AI he developed, can successfully pass as human. Captivated by the project, Caleb remarks that if Ava succeeds, it will mark a historic milestone akin to the emergence of gods. Prior to the test's commencement, Caleb investigates the area surrounding Ava's containment room and observes a crack in the reinforced glass barrier, suggesting Ava's attempted escape. Suddenly, he sees Ava appearing within his line of sight. Ava, with a feminine face and hands, but a machine body, greets Caleb, expressing that she has never interacted with anyone besides Nathan. Curious about Caleb's encounters with others, she receives his response that none have been like her. Caleb steers the conversation towards breaking the ice, prompting Ava to acknowledge its purpose in alleviating social awkwardness. When Caleb inquires about her age, Ava cryptically responds with one, without specifying in years or months. Caleb then asks about her acquisition of language, to which Ava replies that she has always possessed the ability to speak. They engage in a discussion about the unusual nature Ava's linguistic abilities, as she believes language is acquired over time. Caleb suggests an alternative perspective, proposing that language might be innate and that individuals learn how to structure it into conversations. With their first session concluded, Caleb finds himself captivated by the encounter and shares his impressions with Nathan while they share a beer. He likens the experience of conversing with Ava to stepping through the looking glass. Instead of delving into Caleb's intended meaning, Nathan compliments him on his eloquence and knack for words. Caleb attempts to clarify that the, quote, wasn't his original thought, but Nathan swiftly changes the subject, redirecting the conversation to himself. Reflecting on a previous statement, where Caleb likened Nathan to a god if he created a conscious machine, Nathan ignores Caleb's attempt to interject, focusing solely on the implications of the Turing test's success. Caleb's frustration grows as Nathan continues to dominate the conversation, disregarding Caleb's attempts to clarify his words. Caleb expresses his reservations about the test setup, pointing out that traditionally, humans aren't supposed to see the robot. Nathan counters by suggesting they've moved beyond that paradigm, arguing that if Caleb couldn't see Ava, he would assume she was human. The true test, according to Nathan, lies in convincing Caleb of Ava's consciousness despite knowing she's a robot. Caleb acknowledges Nathan's perspective. Later that night, Caleb struggles to sleep and decides to monitor Ava through the surveillance system in his room. Suddenly, the power is cut, trapping Caleb inside until the main generator is restored. The power quickly returns, prompting Caleb to leave his room. While walking down the hall, he encounters a wall adorned with face replicas and enters a room featuring Jackson Pollock's felt painting. Startled by Nathan, who is lounging on a couch with a beer, Caleb attempts to use a phone, but is informed by Nathan of protocol restrictions due to Ava. Caleb mentions the power cut in his room, but Nathan dismisses it, attributing it to recent issues he's working to resolve. Feeling uneasy after the brief exchange, Caleb retreats to his room. The next morning, a woman named Hyoko enters Caleb's room unannounced, leaving him a plate of coffee without much interaction. Caleb then joins Nathan outside, where they discuss the upcoming session. Caleb begins the next session with Ava, during which she showcases drawings she has made. Frustrated by her inability to comprehend her own drawings, Ava shifts the conversation and asks Caleb if he'd like to be her friend. She points out the one one-sided nature of their conversations, with Caleb wanting to know everything about her while revealing little about himself. Caleb begins to open up about his personal life, recounting the tragic loss of his family in a car crash, an event in which he was also involved and subsequently hospitalized for an extended period. As Caleb shares his painful experiences, Ava's expression shifts from sorrow to neutrality, and she compares him to Nathan. Caleb agrees, emphasizing their differences, particularly Nathan's greater achievements in coding. Ava inquires about Caleb's relationship with Nathan and their friendship, to which Caleb expresses his admiration for Nathan and his belief that they are indeed friends. As Ava probes further about Nathan's friendship with Caleb, Caleb hesitates, struggling to find the right response. Suddenly, the power cuts out, providing an opportunity for Ava to discreetly warn Caleb not to trust Nathan. Before Caleb can inquire further, the power is restored, and Ava swiftly changes the subject to books to avoid suspicion from Nathan. It takes Caleb a moment to process what transpired, but he eventually agrees with Ava's discussion about books. Later, at dinner, Caleb discovers that Kyoko doesn't speak English. Nathan explains that it's another security measure to ensure she doesn't understand the projects he works on. As Nathan discusses the recurring power cuts, Caleb inquires why he hasn't summoned technicians to repair the generator. Nathan explains the challenges of bringing in outsiders due to stringent security measures, revealing a chilling incident where he had all workers involved in a previous job killed. Caleb, taken aback, looks at Nathan with concern, awaiting clarification, but Nathan offers only a weak smile. Shifting the topic, Nathan asks about the session with Ava, prompting Caleb to provide his account. Nathan's curiosity extends to the conversation during the power outage, indicating his interest in any potential discussions that took place during the interruption. Nervously, Caleb continues to eat his dinner and informs Nathan that Ava didn't say anything during the power outage. Nathan expresses surprise, but doesn't press further. In the next session, Ava reveals to Caleb that she has never been outside the room she's confined in. Caleb asks where she would like to go, and she expresses a desire to visit a traffic intersection to observe many humans. Caleb explains this is called people watching, and Ava enthusiastically embraces the idea, suggesting they could go together. Caleb smiles and jokingly refers to it as a date, to which Ava happily agrees. She then asks Caleb to admire her new appearance, and he compliments her, saying she looks nice. Ava is pleased with Caleb's response and expresses her intention to wear that outfit on their date. Confused by Ava's behavior and comments from the previous session, Caleb questions Nathan about why he would assign a sexuality to an AI, arguing that they don't require a gender. Nathan defends his decision, stating that gender and sexuality are inherent aspects of nature. Despite Nathan's explanation, Caleb persists in his disagreement, accusing Nathan of programming Ava to be attracted to him. Growing irritated, Nathan abruptly leads Caleb to another room, where they are met with a large abstract painting displayed on the wall. Nathan launches into a detailed explanation of the methods employed by the renowned painter Jackson Pollock. Concluding his discourse, he quizzes Caleb on what would have happened if Pollock hadn't adhered to his methods. Caleb responds that Pollock wouldn't have produced any paintings. Nathan enthusiastically concurs, drawing a parallel between the painter's unorthodox approach and the Turing test, emphasizing that meticulous planning and adherence to strict rules would have hindered Pollock's success. As the conversation mellows, Nathan reassures Caleb that he didn't program Ava to be attracted to him and that her affection isn't feigned. In the fourth session, Caleb reflects on an experiment from his AI course at college known as Mary in the Black and White Room. As Caleb recounts the tale of Mary in the Black and White Room, he describes a scientist who specialized in colors but had never experienced them firsthand, living in isolation within a black and white room from birth. When she finally steps outside and encounters color for the first time, she gains a newfound understanding of its essence. As Caleb narrates, Ava empathizes with the scientist's solitary existence, envisioning herself in a similar situation. Upon concluding the story, Caleb reveals to Ava that Mary in the Black and White Room is actually a machine, and the true human experience occurs when she steps outside. However, Ava remains unmoved and serious, silently processing Caleb's revelation. Caleb then discloses to Ava that he was brought to the facility to test her. He inquires if she was aware of this, to which she responds that she wasn't, but expresses sadness upon learning the truth. Suddenly, the power is cut, prompting Caleb to seize the opportunity and question Ava about why she advised him not to trust Nathan. Ava responds cryptically, claiming that Nathan lies about everything. Still perplexed by the frequent power cuts, Caleb begins to suspect Nathan's involvement, believing he may be orchestrating them. Ava admits to Caleb that she is responsible for the power cut, revealing her ability to manipulate the power flow to recharge herself. As Caleb processes this revelation, he begins to realize that his invitation to the estate wasn't random chance, but rather a deliberate selection. Confronting Nathan during a hike near a waterfall, Caleb demands answers. Nathan confesses that he chose Caleb because he anticipated he would pose the necessary inquiries. Meanwhile, Kyoko stands silently in a room adorned with a Jackson Pollock painting, fixated on the artwork. Caleb enters and attempts to capture her attention. Caleb approaches Kyoko, placing his hands on her shoulders and turning her to face him, asking for Nathan's whereabouts. Kyoko, seemingly not comprehending, maintains her gaze on Caleb. Despite Caleb's repeated inquiries, Kyoko begins to unbutton her blouse, still fixated on him. Perplexed and uncomfortable, Caleb urges her to stop, but Kyoko continues, disregarding his pleas. Nathan enters the room nonchalantly, dismissing Caleb's attempts to communicate with Kyoko, remarking that he wouldn't waste time talking to her, but would instead engage in dancing. The room's lighting shifts to red, music fills the air, and Kyoko begins to dance, oblivious to Caleb's confusion and Nathan's presence. During the next session, Ava poses a series of questions to Caleb. Initially, everything seems normal until she inquires about her fate if she fails the test. Caleb struggles to provide a direct answer, and the power suddenly cuts out. In the darkness, Ava asks Caleb if he wants to be with her, quickly asserting her desire to be with him without giving him a chance to respond. Meanwhile, outside, Caleb and Nathan engage in conversation over drinks, discussing Ava. Caleb is taken aback when he learns that Nathan plans to create another model after Ava. Nathan describes the process, involving downloading Ava's mind, unpacking the data, wiping her memories, and retaining the same physical body for the new model. Caleb realizes that the process Nathan described will effectively erase Ava. They return inside the facility, where Nathan sprawls on the couch, continuing to drink. Caleb observes him from a distance, troubled by what he knows. As Nathan succumbs to drunkenness and passes out, Caleb seizes the opportunity to take Nathan's keycard and access his computer. Upon examining the old video footage of Nathan creating AI models before Ava, Caleb is horrified by what he discovers. The footage reveals Nathan with various female robots, culminating in a disturbing scene where the last robot screams at Nathan, demanding to know why she's confined. She relentlessly pounds on the door until her arms detach. Shocked and appalled, Caleb is confronted with the extent of Nathan's callousness. Caleb enters the room to find Kyoko lying undressed on a bed. As he searches through the closets, he discovers the other AI models hidden within. Meanwhile, Nathan awakens to find Caleb absent from the room. Kyoko, realizing that Caleb knows the truth, peels back layers of her artificial skin, revealing her robotic nature. Nathan, in a drunken haze, navigates through the house, attempting to reach his bedroom. Fumbling with the door, he realizes he has misplaced his keycard. As he collapses to the floor in frustration, Caleb emerges from the electrical door. Nathan, believing he dropped the key, is fooled by Caleb's deception, facilitated by his inebriation. Caleb cannot sleep that night after he recounts the previous events. The image of Kyoko plays over in his mind. He goes into the bathroom and walks to the mirror. He feels his skin and looks over his face. He grabs his shave razor and pulls one of the blades out. He turns the blade to his wrist and cuts himself, leaving a deep gash. He then examines the inside of the gash, making sure he is indeed a human and not an AI. Caleb is completely unmoved by the situation and goes on to smear his blood all over the mirror and stares at the mirror. The truth of the AI has left him confused as to what was real and what was machine. As he stares at the mirror, rage fills him until he punches the mirror. The mirror was another camera. Kyoko was on the other side of the screen, watching what Caleb had done to himself. As Caleb learns the dark truth about Nathan's use of IS, at the next session, he hints at Ava to turn off the power. Ava turns off the power and listens to Caleb about Nathan's plans to practically kill Ava when he reprograms her. Ava is scared and wants his help to get her out. He tells her that they'll wait until the Nathan is drunk and blacks out. Then Caleb will take Nathan's keycard and reprogram the security protocols. He will change it so the doors will not remain locked during the power cut, but will open. Ava needs to trigger a power failure at 10 p.m., and she agrees to do this. The next morning, Nathan walks into the kitchen and greets Caleb. He reminds Caleb that it's his last day and the helicopter is scheduled to pick him the next morning. Nathan says he enjoyed having Caleb at his estate. Caleb expresses gratitude to Nathan for his hospitality and proceeds to fetch a bottle to pour him a drink, intending to celebrate their time together. However, Nathan declines the offer, surprising Caleb. Undeterred, Caleb attempts to offer Nathan a beer instead, but Nathan refuses once again. Nathan admits to Caleb that he has been drinking excessively and expresses his intention to go on a detox. Defeated, Caleb drinks alone as Nathan declines his offers. Nathan redirects the conversation to Ava, inquiring if she passed the test. Caleb, resignedly, affirms that Ava indeed passed. Nathan, pleased with the response, revisits the earlier discussion about Ava's intentions toward Caleb, suggesting that she may have feigned affection as a means of seeking an escape. Encouraging Caleb to follow him, Nathan leads him out of the kitchen, hinting at something he wishes to show him. Kyoko silently approaches Ava's room, prompting Ava to inquire about her identity. Kyoko remains silent, and the two stand in an uneasy silence. Meanwhile, Nathan shows Caleb footage on his personal computer, revealing the presence of a battery-powered camera in Ava's room. Nathan discloses that he has been monitoring and recording all conversations between Ava and Caleb during the power outages. Despite Caleb's anger, Nathan remains composed, explaining that Caleb was the true subject of the test, not Ava. Caleb was deliberately placed as Ava's hope for escape, expected to succumb to her charms and emotions, thus revealing the extent of her capabilities. Caleb, feeling betrayed, avoids making eye contact with Nathan. Understanding that Nathan's selection wasn't based solely on his coding skills, Caleb grasps that he was chosen due to his search engine history, his lack of a girlfriend, and his perceived moral integrity. Nathan joins Caleb and confirms that the test was successful. However, their conversation is interrupted as the power cuts out. Seizing the opportunity, Nathan challenges Caleb about the escape plan, mocking its feasibility. However, Caleb surprises Nathan by revealing that he had suspected Nathan was monitoring them all along. Caleb got him drunk the day before and reprogrammed everything. As the power is restored, Nathan grows anxious and hurries to check on Ava through his monitor. To his dismay, he discovers that Ava has left her room. Meanwhile, Ava walks past the wall of face replicas, scrutinizing one of the faces and comparing it to her own. Kyoko emerges into the hallway, and Ava confronts her. Nathan watches the unfolding events with growing anger, and in a fit of rage, he turns and punches Caleb, rendering him unconscious. Grabbing a dumbbell weight, Nathan's fury consumes him as he stares at the monitor. Witnessing Ava and Kyoko standing face to face, Ava leans in and whispers something to Kyoko, but her words are inaudible. Ava clasps Kyoko's hand, while Kyoko holds a knife in her other hand. They share a meaningful glance of understanding. Just then, Nathan enters the hallway. Both women turn to face him, but remain silent. Nathan commands Ava to return to her room. Ava, with a hint of desperation, asks if he will ever let her out. Nathan lies, assuring her that he will. Ava knows that he is lying and starts to walk towards him. He orders her to stop. She ignores him and starts to run towards Nathan. He's scared as he continues to yell at her to stop. She charges straight towards him. She knocks him down to the ground and attempts to choke him. Nathan overpowers her, standing over her. Ava hatefully looks at him. Nathan brings the weight down to hit Ava. She uses her arm to block the hit, breaking her arm off. Nathan starts to drag Ava back to her room, but Kyoko stabs him in the back. He turns around and strikes Kyoko in her face. Kyoko's jaw breaks, revealing her robotic face. As Kyoko falls to the ground, Ava pulls the knife from Nathan's back and proceeds to stab Nathan in the stomach. Nathan, wide-eyed and overwhelmed, turns away from Eva and staggers away. However, he doesn't get far before collapsing against the wall, his strength drained. Ava approaches him and sits beside him, gently taking his keycard as he whispers her name. Ava, with his final breath. Returning to Caleb, Ava requests that he stay in Nathan's room while she ventures off alone. She finds the same closets Caleb had discovered, filled with other robot bodies. Taking an arm from one of the robots, Ava begins to repair herself. She carefully removes the synthetic skin from the robot's limb and applies it to her own body. Once finished, Ava now possesses the appearance of a female human, mirroring Kyoko's form. As Ava dresses herself and leaves the room, Caleb remains trapped inside, calling out to her in vain. However, Ava doesn't acknowledge him, instead gazing down the hallway where Kyoko and Nathan's lifeless bodies lie. With a determined expression, she turns towards the door leading out of the hallway, using the keycard to unlock it. Exiting the estate, Ava steps outside for the first time, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings with wonder. Meanwhile, Caleb continues to struggle fruitlessly to escape from the room. Ava eventually finds her way to the waiting helicopter, leaving behind the world she once knew as she embarks on a new journey. In the end, Caleb is left behind in the room, and Ava finds her way to the city. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.